Hello my sweet friends, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the books that I would love to read before the end of the year. Obviously we're in November, we're getting very close to the end of 2023, which is crazy. This year has gone so fast, but there are still so many books that I was hoping to read this year, and so I thought it would be fun today to kind of just do a bit of an end of year TBR. I think I've got 23 books specifically to talk about today, like 23 books I'd love to read by the end of 2023. Am I actually going to read them all? Probably not, but I'm gonna try. So I've got my little list on my phone and I've actually broken it up into 4 different categories. So first of all, we have books from my 2023 TBR that I made at the beginning of the year that I still haven't gotten to yet. So that's my first category. My second category is like series that I've started this year that I would love to complete by the end of the year. Again, will I be able to do that? I don't know, but it would be nice to like finish off the year completing most of the series that I'm in the middle of. Then the next category is just books from my physical TBR that I would love to get off my physical TBR by the end of the year, or just like books from my physical TBR that I'm really excited about and want to read ASAP. And then the last category that I have are new releases. So books that are still supposed to come out before the end of the year that I would love to read pretty much as soon as they come out. So let's just jump straight into it. Like I mentioned at the beginning of 2023, I made a video where I talked about 23 books that I would love to read in 2023. I do this every year, create like a yearly TBR, and it is really interesting to see how many of them I can complete. And to be fair, I have read a lot of the books that I did put on this list. I only have 6 left, which is still a decent amount. And I would love to finish that TBR. It would be so satisfying. I didn't complete my TBR from last year, and I feel like I just feel really accomplished if I finish this list. I don't think I actually am going to finish it because there are a few books on here that I just don't want to read, but I think I could tick a few more off. So the first book on this list is Ghosts by Dolly Alderton. I've read both of Dolly Alderton's non-fiction books that she has released, Everything I Know About Love and Dear Dolly, and I loved both of those, and I still am yet to read a fiction release from her. I actually just got her newest book in the mail yesterday, which is called Good Material, and I'd love to read that by the end of the year as well, but we'll see how we go. I think I need to read Ghosts first because that one has been out for ages, and I just want to see what her writing is like in a fiction book because I've only read her non-fiction work. I don't own this book, but I have ordered it, so I will own it soon, and hopefully that will get me to be more excited about it. But I am really excited about that one still. The second one on this list is Caraval, and I don't know. I actually do want to read this book. I want to read this series, but obviously, as you guys probably already know, I've read Once Upon a Broken Heart, like that trilogy, and so it feels a little bit backwards to go back and read the Caraval series, but I still kind of do want to. And I think I put this on my list at the beginning of this year, specifically so that I could read the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. Like I wanted to read Caraval so that I could go to the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, but I ended up just skipping Caraval and going straight to Once Upon a Broken Heart anyway. But I still do want to read this one too, so we'll see. The next book that I am still yet to get to is Zodiac Academy. I still do really want to read this, and I'm really intrigued to see what I'm going to think because I really can't tell if I'm going to like it or hate it. I feel like a lot of people say that this series is kind of trash, but in the best way possible, and I'm like, I just want to see if it's something that I'm going to enjoy. So again, I still want to read this. I have it on my Kindle, so hopefully we'll get to it. Another one that I'll probably read on my Kindle is Bad Reputation. This is a duet by Krista and Becca Ritchie, and it follows some, like, I don't want to call them side characters, but kind of side characters from the Addicted/Calloway Sister series that were like very prevalent like in the last few books of the series, and I still really badly want to read this too. Again, I think because I don't own the physical copy, I just don't really think about it, but I need to read it because I really want to read their stories and just kind of get back into that world a little bit too. I think I'm also putting it off because I don't want this world to be over, but I do want to read this by the end of the year. The book that I'm really like not excited to read from this specific category, Babel, I still don't know how to say it, by R.F. Kuang. I've read a lot of other books by R.F. Kuang. I've read the Poppy War trilogy and I've also read Yellowface, but this one specifically just really intimidates me. I've just heard so many things about it. If you guys watch my TBR jar videos, a lot of people get so annoyed that I never choose this to be on my TBR, but guys, I'm just so scared of it. I know that I just need to give it a chance, but I really just like, I have never been in the mood to pick this up. Not once. This entire year, I have not once thought, you know what, I want to pick up Babel. So again, I hope I pick it up by the end of the year, but I don't know. I'm a bit skeptical about this one. And the last one in this category is 28 Summers by Ellen Hildebrand, I think. I have been wanting to read a book by this author for the longest time. I've heard so many good things about her books. I feel like they're very like summery. I just feel like a lot of people love them and I just want to experience it for myself. They are a little bit harder to get your hands on in Australia compared to the US, I think. Like I've never really seen them at any of my local bookstores, but I've found them at the library, so I can get them there, or I could probably get it on my Kindle or order it online. Like I don't really have an excuse. I just kind of forget about this book. That's the only reason I haven't picked it up. But in saying that, we are going into summer here in Australia, so maybe I'll be more in the mood for like a summery vibe. But 28 Summers specifically, I just heard a lot of good things about, so I want to try it out. I want to see if it's for me. Our next category are series that I would love to complete, or like love to complete as much as I can, in the sense of maybe the series aren't finished series yet, but I want to get to the point where I'm like updated with where the series is at. Does that make sense? I feel like I've really not explained that well. But there are a few series that I've started this year that I would love to complete. I think it would just be so satisfying going into a new year, not having so many like unfinished series. The first series I would love to complete is the Greenbone Saga. I've only read the first book and it's a trilogy, so obviously there are 2 more books. I only have the second book, but obviously I would like to read book 2 and book 3. So Jade War and Jade Legacy. I read the first book a couple months ago and I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. Like I thought it was pretty good, but it was also kind of hard for me to get through just because I found it a little bit confusing. I don't really know why. And I think because I was kind of confused and intimidated by it, it's kind of put me off continuing it. But I feel like I should continue it while I still remember the most about the series and like the magic system and the politics and all that sort of stuff. Because if I leave it like too long, I'm just going to forget all of the things from the first book and then either have to do a reread or just be even more confused. And I feel like that's just not what I want to do. So I would love to finish this series by the end of the year. Also, a lot of people love this series, and I'm hoping that like now that I actually understand what's going on and like who's who and what the politics are and stuff, it'll be easier for me to read the rest of the series because like I'm actually fully immersed in it now that I've read the first book. But we'll see. Another series that I only started literally last week is the Red Rising trilogy. I finished the first book, and so now I want to complete the rest of the trilogy, or like the original trilogy, because I think there are like, I don't know, like is it like a spin-off series, or I don't really know what goes on past the original trilogy, but I know there's like an original trilogy and then there are more books. But yeah, I read the first book and I quite enjoyed it. I gave it like 4.25 stars, I think. And honestly, it was less intimidating than I thought it was going to be, which was just, it was so nice when you pick up a book that you're really intimidated by and then it ends up being not as bad as you thought it was going to be, and you're like, oh, this is so good. So I do want to read the second and third book in this trilogy. Golden Sun is book 2 and Morning Star is book 3. I thrifted the third book, so it's a little bit off colored, but I kind of love that. It's kind of, I don't know, kind of has some character to it. I don't really have too much to say about this. I hope I'll be able to finish this trilogy again, just to feel the satisfaction of like completing it. I feel like completing a series just feels so good, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm really intrigued to see where the series is going to go and like what's going to happen next, because I don't really know. I don't really know where it's going to go. I will say this series is pretty like violent, and there's just like a lot of death. Like you just can't get attached to like any characters in this series because I feel like so many people die and you're just like, oh, another one? Really? Like, was that necessary? Another series that I would love to complete is the Secret Shanghai series by Chloe Gong. This is the last book that I have to read for this series, so this one feels a little bit more doable because there's only one book that I have to read and then I'll be completely done with it. And I'm really excited to read this book because I've really enjoyed every book in this series so far. This series starts off with These Violent Delights, which you may be like more aware of because I feel like that is the most famous book. So you have These Violent Delights and Our Violent Ends, which is a little duet. But then there's a little spin-off series where we follow a side character, but apparently this book is where like everything comes together. So I think it kind of ties the original duet with the spin-off series and it all kind of just like comes together, and I'm really excited because the little like novellas that you read before this one are kind of fun and kind of reveal some things that I wasn't expecting to happen, and I'm so excited to see where the story goes. I really like the characters. I really like the setting. It's 1920s Shanghai. Lots of like family secrets, politics, lots of secrets really. It's just all about secrets. Marriage of convenience, secret identities, spies. Like it's just a lot of fun. So I'm very excited to finally get to this book, hopefully really soon. Another series that just feels very doable to complete is this one. This is the second book in in the debutante's duology. I just finished the first book literally this morning, so now I feel like I have to read the other one so that I can just complete this duet. But the debutante's duology is written by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, who also wrote the Inheritance Games and the Natural series, and I love both of those series so much, so I really wanted to just kind of read everything that I can get my hands on by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. After finishing the first one, I liked it, but I wasn't obsessed with it, but I still want to continue the series. It's very much like rich people drama, family secrets, family dynamics, super easy to read, very short chapters. It is YA, so like the text is big, and it's just really easy to read. It's probably my least favorite series that I have read by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, but it's still not bad. I'm just not as obsessed with it as I am with the other series that I've read by her, but I am intrigued to see what this is going to be. Like, I really don't know how the story is going to continue. I mean, at the end of the first book, there is a bit of a cliffhanger and a bit of like there's information revealed, but not in a satisfying way. Like, you find out something and then you're like, wait, I found out this piece of information and now I just have like so many more questions. So I'm excited to continue and just get all of the answers in the next book. And lastly in this category, we have Iron Flame, which is the sequel to Fourth Wing. I feel like this is very highly anticipated by so many people. When I'm filming this video, like this literally came out this morning. I pre-ordered it on my Kindle and I started reading it this morning. I've literally read one chapter. It's like 8 a.m. right now, so I haven't really had a lot of time to read this yet, but the one chapter that I have read has really like just drawn me straight back into the story, and I'm really excited to continue this series. I just wanted to get it on my Kindle because those books are kind of chunky and sometimes that's like annoying to hold, so I thought this would be a less stressful way to read this book, because also trying to get your hands on the physical copy of this book is terrifying. People look like they would fight to the death over that book, and I'm scared and I don't like leaving my house, so I'll be reading it on my Kindle for now, and then when things have calmed down I'll go get my physical copy. But of course I want to continue that series and see what happens. I'm really intrigued to see if I'm going to like the second book more than the first book, less than the first book. I also love reading a book like right when it comes out, because I feel like you're not swayed by anyone's opinions because you haven't seen anyone's opinions yet. I got to read Curse of True Love like right when it came out, and I loved being able to really form my own opinions without hearing anyone else's, so I'm hoping to do the same with Iron Flame. But I'll let you guys know. I think it'll be included in a reading vlog for you guys. Hopefully it'll be out next week, but we'll see how we go. The next category that I have is books that are on my physical TBR that I would love to get off my physical TBR by the end of the year. I feel like that's kind of like one of my main focuses for my reading for the rest of the year, is just to read as many books on my physical TBR as I possibly can. I feel like it would just feel very refreshing to start the new year with like not that many books on my physical TBR. So obviously I can make space for new books and just different books, because some of these books have been on there for a really long time. I know I'm not going to get through all of them, but I would love to just put a huge focus on my physical TBR for the rest of the year. So the first book on this list is Love Light Farms by B.K. Boris, and this actually hasn't been on my physical TBR for too long, but I'm genuinely so excited to read this. This is the only like holiday Christmas book that I have on my physical TBR. I don't think I've ever read a Christmas romance. I don't think I read any like holiday themed romances last year, so this is like as close as I'm gonna get. So I definitely need to read this in December, or like during Christmas, or like during that kind of festive time period, just to get like the ultimate vibes from it, you know? And I've heard some really great reviews about this book. I know a lot of people read it last Christmas, and so I want to get in on it. I want to feel the festive feels, and also just see if a holiday romance is for me. Like, I might not like it. I feel like in my head, I don't love the idea of a Christmas romance, but this year I'm feeling a bit different about it. Like, it does seem more appealing to me than it has in previous years. I feel like I love being festive, so I don't know why I don't love festive books. I don't know, but I'm excited to read this. Another book that I feel like I have just been itching to read that has been on my physical TBR, again, not for that long, but maybe like a month or so, is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I've heard incredible reviews about this. I've read a couple of books by Lisa Jewell, and honestly, they haven't been my favorite. I feel like they left me feeling quite dark and a bit icky, but I haven't heard people say that about this book. I've heard a lot of people say it's quite different from her other books, and not to say it's more lighthearted, because it is a thriller, so I'm assuming it will still feel a bit like dark and a bit like not like happy necessarily, but it does sound like it's a lot more like, oh, just like secrets and rumors and things like that, which just sounds really interesting to me. I've tried to stay away from like in-depth reviews about this book, because obviously I would love to go in knowing next to nothing, but it just really appeals to me. I feel like all the people that I really trust their reading recommendations have just raved about this, so I was like, well, I need to read it. I want to see what it's all about. Oh, it kind of matches my top a little bit. That's kind of fun. Like, if I don't read that one by the end of this year, I'll be shocked, because I want to read it like ASAP. One that I'm not that excited to read, but one that I would really love to get off my physical TBR is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I'm just kind of scared of this book. I feel like the reviews I've heard, it just doesn't really sound like something I'm gonna love, but I could be wrong. And so I just want to give it a chance, and I want to see, and maybe I'll DNF it, maybe I'll rate it 5 stars. I don't know. The trigger warnings of this book have me terrified. I don't know. This is another very new addition to my TBR card. I think the newest addition to my TBR card, actually. And it is Whisper by Lynette Noni. I have heard incredible reviews about this book. However, I read the Prison Healer trilogy, I think last year, it was when I picked it up, and I didn't love that trilogy. It's actually funny because I feel like that trilogy has had like a resurgence this year, and I will say this author is Australian, so we absolutely love to see that, and I'm so glad other people are enjoying that trilogy, but it just like wasn't for me. I didn't dislike it at all. I just like didn't care that much about it. I just like felt very neutral about it, and I honestly like barely remember a single thing about that trilogy because I feel like I read it, I was like, yeah, that's fine, and then it just exited my brain because it felt so like mediocre to me. However, I've seen so many people talk about this book, which is obviously another book by that author, and I've only seen good reviews, and it's just gotten me so intrigued, and curiosity got the best of me. I ordered it. I saw one of my mutuals talk about this very recently on TikTok, and she read it and she was just like, oh my gosh, I need the second book right now. And I was like, fine. I feel like there's always those books in the back of your mind that you see occasionally people talk about, and you're like, oh, I would love to read that, and then there'll just be someone who talks about it that just like pushes you over the edge, and you're like, okay, fine, I'll read that book. And I feel like that was a situation that I had with this book. It sounds so interesting. It kind of reminds me of the Shatter Me series based on like what I've read on the back. I'll read you a little snippet of it because I feel like this is what hooked me in. For 2 years, 6 months, 14 days, 11 hours, and 16 minutes, subject 684 has been locked away and experimented on without uttering a single word. As her resolve begins to crack under the influence of her new and unexpectedly kind evaluator, she uncovers the truth about Lengard's mysterious program, discovering that her own secret is at the heart of a sinister plot, and one wrong move, one wrong word could change the world. I don't know what category this is technically in. Oh my gosh, it's blurbed by Sarah J. Maas. Wow. But it's giving me Shatter Me vibes. It's giving like dystopian vibes. I know it's a duology, which is also nice because like there's not that much to commit to. It's just this book and one other book. But I don't know, it just got me so intrigued. So again, I would love to pick this one up probably this month, but we'll see how we go. I feel like there's a lot of books I want to pick up this month. And the last book on this list isn't actually on my physical TBR, but I have ordered it, so it will be on my physical TBR in a few days when it arrives. And that is Cinder by Marissa Meyer. And that is the first book in the Lunar Chronicles, which like everyone has been like, Rachel, you need to read it, especially because I was talking about how much I love the Renegades series. Everyone's like, if you loved Renegades, you have to read Cinder. I think it's dystopian sci-fi. I actually don't know what it's categorized as. People have said that it's like retellings of different fairy tales. I think I could be like so wrong. I feel like I'm going in very, very blind. I know it's YA. I know it's Marissa Meyer, and I'm like, okay, sign me up, because Renegades has been so good, and I'm almost about to finish the Renegades trilogy, and I'm just like, I don't want to be without a Marissa Meyer book, so I want to read some of her other ones. And when I mentioned that I wanted to read some of her other books, everyone was like, you need to read the Lunar Chronicles. I think they're like older books, and I think a lot of people read them when they were a little bit younger, and like they were like really popping off, but I'm excited to see what they're like. I feel like they could be really, really fun. And the last category of books that I have for this video are new releases that are gonna come out by the end of the year that I would love to pick up. So the first one that I have is Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. I have seen so many people get arcs of this book specifically, and every single review I've seen from those people has been amazing. And now I'm so intrigued. I've only read the Dreamland Billionaires series by Lauren Asher. Like I haven't read that many books by her, and I liked those books. I wasn't like obsessed, but I had a good time. So I would love to pick up this new book by her. I think honestly, it's all of the great reviews that have sold me, and the cover is really cute. So then we have Betting on You by Lynn Painter. This comes out, I think, at the end of November, and I love Lynn Painter's YA romance specifically YA. And so I'm really excited to read this one. I think it's just gonna be a lot of fun. I don't know anything about like what it's actually about. It just has a cute cover. It's by Lynn Painter. It's YA. so like sign me up. Next up we have Sable Peak by Devney Perry. This is the final book in the Eden series by this author, which is a small town romance series. It follows just like a family and every sibling gets their own book, and this is the last sibling, and I just think it would be really nice to like finish this series by the end of the year. It will feel very satisfying. These books are always like very quick, very easy to read. I don't think they're necessarily like the best books in the world, but I always just like have a lot of fun with them. I think Devney Perry always writes just like quick, fun, little palate cleanser kind of romances, and I enjoy that. So of course I'm gonna read this one. Then the last two on this list, like I am so excited about. The first one is Ruthless Vows. This is the sequel to Divine Rivals, which I read earlier this year, and I absolutely loved that book. It was absolutely phenomenal. It comes out on Boxing Day. Like I don't know, maybe I'll get it on my Kindle, I don't know. But I'm so excited to read the second book in this series because Divine Rivals was an easy 5-star for me. I'm so excited, like I can't wait. I hope it's as good as Divine Rivals. I think it will be. I really think it will be. Like I think about Divine Rivals probably at least once a week minimum. And this series is just a duology. So this will be like the conclusion as well, which I'm just like, what's gonna happen, you know? And the first book ended on such a cliffhanger. So I am so excited to read this book. I cannot wait. And then the last book on this list, I think I saved the best till last, is Never by Jessa Hastings. This is going to be her newest release, and it is going to be a brand new series. I think a little bit like fantasy-esque. It's a Peter Pan retelling. That's all I really know about it. I think from what I've heard, there's going to be a bit of a love triangle. I actually can't wait. Like you guys know how much I absolutely love and adore the Magnolia Park series, and I've just never been able to obviously experience Jessa Hastings writing in another series, and so I'm just really excited to like see if the magic is in Magnolia Parks or if the magic is just in her writing. And I have a feeling that it's just like in her writing, and so I think that I'm gonna feel the same feelings that I felt in Magnolia Parks in Never by Jessa. And I just can't wait. Like, guys, you actually have no idea how excited I am about this book. Like, I could cry. Guys, I actually can't wait. I also would love to read Peter Pan before that book comes out, just so I can like kind of remind myself of what even happens in Peter Pan. I don't think I've ever read Peter Pan. I've only like watched the movie, and I love the movie. Peter Pan, like the real life one, like I love the cartoon, like Disney one, but I also love the like real life one. I don't know what that's even called, but the guy who played Peter Pan was my first crush, and I know a lot of people can relate to that. I remember watching it at my cousin's house. I used to beg her to watch Peter Pan. Every single time I had a sleepover at her house, I was like, please can we watch Peter Pan? Please can we watch Peter Pan? Because I was so in love with that boy. He was just like, I remember just seeing him and being like, wow. Me at the ripe old age of like 7 years old. That was my first crush. And so now I'm getting a Peter Pan retelling by one of my favorite authors. Like, you actually have to be kidding me. Like, it feels like this book was written for me. In saying that, I don't even know if Peter Pan is going to be the love interest. From what I've gathered, he might be one of them in the love triangle, but I don't know if he's the one I'm gonna root for. I don't know. Guys, I'm so excited. I can't wait. Like, books just make me so excited, and I love that I always have something to look forward to because there's always like a new release coming that is just so exciting. Anyway, thank you guys for just listening to me ramble on about books for the last like 20 to 30 minutes. I don't know how long this video will be, but hopefully you guys got some recommendations. I would love to know if there are any books that you are just like really hoping that you'll get to by the end of the year, or any new releases that you're really excited about. Like, please tell me. I would love to know. I feel like there are so many other books that I could have added to this list, but I really tried to like, you know, be realistic with myself. Can I actually finish all these books on this list? Like, I don't know. If I really tried, I probably could, but like we all know I'm gonna get distracted and read other things as well. But I feel very hopeful and very inspired that maybe I can get to these books. We'll see how we go. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you all so much, and I will see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.